Welcome back. Episode 25 of Where Blades Walk. This week we're asking, is the signing of BBD and Cannon going to be enough? Or do the Blades need to dip further into the transfer market? Plus, was Norwich as perfect as it gets? We're talking about how good is Femi Seriki. AI is predicting the away fixtures. And last week we started our worst ever Sheffield United side and we put Ivo Grbic in goal. This week we're putting two strikers, who are the worst two strikers we've seen. Stay around to the end of the video for that. Delighted to have Dan, Connor, Shax back with us. And for his debut this week, we have got Elliot, who you can follow at Lazarus2 on Twitter, who's got lots to say about Sheffield United. Welcome, Elliot. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Right, let's jump straight into it then. 2 weeks to transfer deadline day, Dan. If you sign the two strikers you reported to sign, would you call that a good window?
Not really, and it won't be just them two. I think he'll get the 5 targets that he wants, and I think they'll all be his first choice targets as well. I don't think it was any secret that Mr. Diaz was in the crowd yesterday, but I think even with them two, I think it's a big statement because it adds goals to his team as well, which is what we need. But yeah, I think there'll be more. I think the 5 targets he wants, he'll get. Simple as that, really.
Yeah, he says he's a Sheffield United fan, wasn't he? Chris Wilder. Chris Wilder was joking. Go on then, Connor. Let's go through the 5 that you want to see in the end of these 2 weeks. Now you're out the FA Cup. You've coasted against Norwich. You've got some winnable fixtures to come. So let's focus on these signings that are going to make the difference.
Yeah, well, obviously, like the two you mentioned, BBD and Tom Cannon, and obviously, the big thing for me about him is it's direct rivals for promotion that are wanting him, and the fact that apparently BBD said he only wants to come to United if it's not United, he doesn't want to move. So that really stands out for us. And then again with Cannon, Sunderland want him. If we can pip him to him, I think it'd obviously boost us in terms of options up front, especially with Moore's apparently needing a hernia operation. Brewster, for me, is just obviously we've spoken about him plenty of times before. I just don't see him being good enough.
Talking about him again. Yeah.
And again, Campbell, I do like him, but again, he does pick up the odd injury. So if Cannon comes in, I think it does solve a lot of problems up front. But again, we need to look at defence-wise for me. I know we're linked with John Joe Kenny bringing him at full-back, but I feel we are light at centre-half. And I think potentially we can move Gilchrist over, but for me, Norrington Davies, he showed it in the Cup. He's ever since his injuries, he was really good in the Championship before, but since his injuries, he's not half the player he has been. And then I think the other position was central midfield. If we do get Chowdhury in, I think it'd be a great addition, especially back up for Sousa because we don't really have anything. But yeah, I definitely think the centre back and centre mid we do need more options into.
I think it was 2 weeks ago on here, Shax, that you even spoke about John Joe Kenny yourself, saying we need sort of player like that, and then the club are now linked with him. Either they're listening to this video, or you've got some insight. Any more gems you can pull out of the bag for us for 2 weeks to go?
Shax is in a recruitment mark, didn't you know?
But he wishes he was.
I can tell you a few I'll be getting rid of, unrecruited. Yeah, I'd like to see Michael Keane from Everton. Seems to be a bit of an Everton theme going on with John Joe Kenny, but he's only started, I think, 3 games all year. They've got Tarkowski and Braithwaite. Obviously, he'd probably be next one in. I think they've just moved Ben Godfrey on, so he probably is next in line. But I'd like to see Michael Keane come in. I know they paid a lot of money for him, but he's 32. He can't be happy sat on bench, so that'd be my preference. Keane, Kenny, brereton-diaz, Cannon, and then probably. I don't know if we need a central midfielder. I think if Shackleton can move in to that position, I'm not too sure we need one, but I think it's at back and up front. I think middle's fine. I think Peck and Davis have done. I mean, when Arblaster got injured, it were like everybody were worried, but to be honest, I think Peck's more than filled that role. And same with Sousa as well. I think Davis has stepped into his shoes. Obviously, it'd be nice to have them players back, but I don't think they've let us down. So central midfield for me is not an area, but anywhere else on pitch, yeah, I would try and fill that.
Okay. Let us know what you think in the comments. As an Everton fan, there's a reason why Michael Keane has only started 3 games this season. That's because when he came on in today's game, Tottenham scored 2 goals. There you go. That's one of the reasons why. Elliot, welcome to where Blades Walk. Let's ask you about the Norwich game then, if that's okay. We know it was some time ago when people might be watching this, but was that one of the most easy home performances that you possibly had this season, or in terms of was it as perfect as it could have got?
Well, I wouldn't say it was. I said there's probably a bit of something else we need to do into the team. There's a bit more. We need a bit more oomph about us, like our defence. Like Shaq said, we need a massive improvement in our defence. Really, as missing Harry Suter, massive upset for us. He was a brick wall at the back, but against Norwich we played like a team who was compact, and we had good shines of play, possession, but we also had, on the back end of that, we also had the one-off of slipping off at the back a little bit, losing a bit of concentration, and making them unnecessary mistakes, which possibly could but didn't lead to anything from Norwich's side. But I'd say I was comfortable. I wouldn't say I was the most comfortable, if you know what I mean. I was happy with the performance, to say the least.
Okay, that was echoed, Elliot. Thank you. In some most fans' comments, David says the most comfortable home win of the season. Front 3 were good. Peck went untouched. Doing what he does is a good thing. The back 4 and the goalkeeper untested. And Dan Baslord says it's a beautiful performance. Far from a finished squad, we are going to be some team once everyone comes in. # Wilder, you beauty. There's not much to comment on this game, is there? I don't think Norwich turn up for you, Dan.
Not really. I mean, I think there's a really disappointing. They were really disappointing, to be honest. I don't think they travel well anyway, but 92nd minute, they're still passing it around the back. I don't understand the logic of the pro coaches nowadays that want to do that. For me, it's going straight upfield and you're trying to get a goal back, but really disappointing. But to be honest, as well, we set up really well. We're all to beat, 15 clean sheets for Michael Cooper, and it just tells you how hard we are to break down and how hard we are to beat, really. So Norwich were never really in game. I mean, if it weren't for Angus Gunn, it could have been 4 or 5 or maybe more.
This week, Connor Allen says the work O'Hare and Hamer get through is scary. Got some good engines on them, haven't they, them two? And Hamer in particular had an outstanding game, didn't he?
Yeah. I thought there weren't really many bad performances. A few players could have probably done a bit more. But the overall balance, like you say, O'Hare, he does work his socks off. Non-stop running. I think one thing they need to probably focus on a bit more is pressing more as a team. You've got O'Hare pressing, but then no one else presses with him. He's running around like an headless chicken, sort of, and wasting energy. And you obviously you want him to do it, but when one goes, everyone needs to go. We were pressing him, and at times we were winning the ball high up the pitch. And it's just a case of keep doing that, keep going at him, especially when we're at home. We have to have that intensity level at highest we can be. And like I said, we've made it a fortress, and we just need to keep going at it. That intensity that O'Hare has, if every player had that running in him, we could do so much more in terms of our overall team performance.
Okay. I think Shaq, you tweeted this out, wasn't it? It's 14 home wins, 10 of them to 0, something like that, which is phenomenal statistic, isn't it? When you think about the level of this league. What do you put that down to personally?
I can't remember Championship being so poor. I don't know if poor is the right word, but you seem to have got 3 or 4 decent teams, which is ourselves, Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, and then, I mean, I disagree with Elliot in a way because I thought Norwich was shocking. Honestly, Cooper didn't even need gloves. They didn't have a shot on target. If your goalkeeper doesn't need a pair of gloves, then I'm sorry, but that were a poor performance from them. And there's been a few teams like that this season as well. But I just don't know. I don't want to tempt it. It just seems easy. It seems like, like I said, it just seems easy.
One player in particular, Elliot, was getting a lot of reviews, which were positive. Jack here says Seriki looked immense when he came on, and Alexander said some of the best football we've played all season. Just on the Seriki one, can you wax lyrical a bit about how good do you think he did in his cameo?
Yeah, I think he's a very young player. He's got a lot to learn, but overall, every time he comes on, his work rate is impeccable. He rarely makes the same mistakes, or really any mistakes, to be honest. He fits well in the team. Yes, we've got a bit of a young subs, young second side, but to say he's put on the boots as he has and done what he's done, he's done amazing, to be honest. And I think he'd be a perfect fullback for our style, how we play.
Okay. Big week though, Dan, this week for Blades. 2 games in 4 days. We're recording this before the trip to Swansea, and then you're back on Sky this Friday night against a Hull side who are just starting to pick up a little bit under their new manager. So would you think 4 points this week? Would you take or not?
I probably would, but I think we'll get 6. I'll be honest. I think on Tuesday we've got Sousa, Raksake, we've got Brooks back who's been ill, and I'm sure there's another one that's coming back as well. And obviously your new players. Yeah, Shackleton. Yeah, you've got your new players potentially coming in as well. As Shaq said, I think the division's really poor, and no disrespect, the teams around 10th, 11th, or 3 or 4 points off the playoffs are really, really poor. I mean, I look at Watford, I look at Blackburn, and you should be beating teams like that, really. And we've won his last 2 games, maybe 3 games with academy boys on the bench. So I respect every team because all are doing well, but we should be getting 6 points in my opinion. Swansea are in free fall, especially after losing to Cardiff. But for me, we're getting players back now. How much better are we going to be? And I still predict it. I watched Leeds today. I didn't think they were that good. I think the goalkeeper's a bomb scare, and I still think we'll be champions. I genuinely think that, especially with the players coming in, keepers, players. I think we'll be. But again, anything can happen in football. Early red card, you just can't really predict it. So, but yeah, 4 points. Always look at trying to pick a point up away if you can. But 4 points would be good. And by the way, we are still top, even with a 2 deduction. So ignore what it says. It's not real. We're on 57 points. I'm not having it.
Before we move on and look at what AI is going to predict in terms of away games, of course, Leeds plays Sheffield Wednesday today. Connor, just out of interest, would you have cheered a Sheffield Wednesday winner in that game? Had it come?
No chance. I would have happily seen them lose 8-0. I don't care if they're doing us a favour or not. I can't stand them. They just do your head in. As soon as they get a win, they all jump from under the rocks and pipe up. Or they'll go on about, oh yeah, he's best player in the world, blah blah blah. And nah, I'd happily watch them lose every game, even if it means we finish second rather than first. I'd happily see them lose every game.
Is there any circumstance, Shax, that you can think of in football where you would have to celebrate a Wednesday goal?
Never. Not in a million years.
Actually,
1 million. Go on.
If it were going to be the last ever game, and you knew it were going to be the last ever game, and they were going to fold, yeah, I'd do knee slides and everything and roly polies a lot. But other than that, now, like Shaq said,
okay.
I can't even put. I just can't. But they're just vile. I mean, when you put me on, when we had that Wednesday fan on holding that little teddy up and that flag, it's just people like that. How can you want him to have any happiness? You know what I mean? I just want I'd be happy if they were playing in Imperial League on a Sunday and they were getting battered against somebody like I know. That's where I think they belong. But like I said, I think that they're arrogant as well. They still think they're this big side. They've got to start quoting results from 1937 and stuff like that to try and be relevant. They're not even a rival to us anymore. They're embarrassing.
Okay, glad I asked. Right, let's move on to AI predicting the away fixtures. Last week we asked AI to predict your home fixtures. I don't think they predicted you to lose a game. If you're away fixtures, let's have a quick look at this. They predict you that you will pick up 6 more wins on the road and 1 draw at Sheffield Wednesday in that March return derby. Lose to Burnley at the end of the season or near the end of the season, and lose to QPR randomly as well. I'm not sure what that's picked out, but actually, if you look at your away fixtures here in terms of starting positions in the league, you've actually got the easier away fixtures compared to Leeds, Burnley, and Sunderland in terms of average position. It might not work out on paper like that. I mean, Elliot, looking at those predictions, would you take that now?
Mark, do you know what? I'd take this. I'd take most of them. I think we could possibly get a draw against Burnley if we get these signings and if our team's fit. QPR, I can see us beating them. Chef Wednesday, as much as I want a win, we ain't losing, but I can most likely see it as a draw. Being away, they'll end up putting 6 at the back or 5 at the back. You know what they're like. They get scared.
And then set fireworks off when they get a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, exactly.
Like chucking the shirts in crowd.
Yeah, celebrating like they won the Champions League or something.
Yeah, we've seen that before, haven't we?
Don't want to see it again.
Okay.
Swansea, that could be away at Swansea in Wales. It's a long trip. It's always a bit of a sticky one, but I could see us scraping, and that from AI I'd say is decent. Apart from the QPR result, which I think we will beat them.
Okay. Dan, you should take 19 out of, what is it? 19 out of
27,
26, isn't it? Yeah, 26. Yeah, 27,
yeah. I think that's good actually, because if you look at how good we've been at home, and then you put down winning your home games and winning them, it's going to get you up in it regardless. Yeah. So I think I'd swap any. Let somebody else beat us away and let's go and get 3 points at Wednesday instead. You know what I mean? Go to Plymouth and lose and win at Wednesday instead. I'll be happy with that.
All right. Before we move on, we are very close to hitting 350 as our magic number. I think we only need about 8. I think we need 8 more. If you can help us get there, that would be absolutely magical. It's so hard to make content from the start. We've been going now for 25 weeks, and thank you very much for being along the journey with us. As you know, in January, because it's such a rubbish month, we are making up our worst ever Sheffield United side that we've ever seen in Championship era. Last week, if you were here, you will know that the team put Ivo Grbic in goal as the worst ever goalkeeper. So now we're looking for the front two, who are the worst strikers that we've ever seen play for the Blades. So a name each, if that's okay, and then you can put in the comments below who you think is deserving of this. Connor, can we kick off with you? What's the worst striker you've ever seen for the Blades?
Well, I can tell you one that plays for us now, but I feel that's too obvious.
Go on, Connor.
Go on, mate. Go on.
Come on, Connor.
You can't take away from Shax. We know that's what's coming from him.
Yeah, back in, I think it was like 2008, 2009, we had Craig Beattie on loan, and for his namesake, James, who went out like him. Obviously, James Beattie, unreal, one of the best I've ever seen, and then we got him on loan. And he was meant to be all right, and I think he played about 15 games for us, and I think he scored 1 goal that we would have still won match anyway, even if he'd have scored it, and it weren't a good goal at that, and I don't know why, he just sticks in my mind as being really, really bad, so I'll go with him.
Okay. Go on then, Shax.
I've got loads. I'll get a quick 4 or 5. I've got John Coffey. We loaned him from Man United. There's no way that kid came from Man United. I'm not having it that he has ever been from Man United academy system. We had one on loan from Liverpool called John Newby, also awful, terrible. Again, there's no way he's ever come through Liverpool. Michael Higden, he looked like a bricklayer, scaffolder, awful, just terrible, just literally like a nightclub doorman. Craig Beattie would have been on that list as well. He was terrible. Connor Salmon, but I think pound for pound, when he's cost you 23.5 million, it's Rhian Brewster. If you're averaging one goal a year, I don't care what United fans say about, like I said before, he smiles, he helps all ladies across road. Terrible, awful. He had 2 or 3 chances yesterday. Keep it, it were a good block, it were a good this. He didn't score. So, Rhian Brewster.
I put my mortgage on that answer. Cheers, Shax. Elliot.
Yes, mate. So with Shax, I agree 100%. Rhian Brewster is up there. I've had a lot of stick over Twitter for saying what I've said about him, but I'm going to back that till...
There's some big Brewster fans out there, isn't there? There's some people that love him, yeah.
I don't see the hype around him. He cost us an arm and a leg. I thought, from Swansea, he's going to be mint. He looked good there. He came to us injury prone. Yeah, he's had his injuries, but it doesn't take away the fact that he can't put in a 6-yarder. He can't sit. He can't score a goal from really anywhere really. But on that, in also Connor Salmon, he was, I don't know what depths of hell we got him from. He was just not. He was a fraud. He was not a striker. He wasn't even a sub or a reserve. He was an average. He was just probably wouldn't even start in a Sunday League team, to be honest. But yeah, for my 2 at the top would be Rhian Brewster and Connor Salmon.
Dan.
I think Shax has covered most of it, but yeah, for me, Connor Salmon, he was horrific. He was horrific. I mean, I will even go as far as to say, and I think Shax will just agree with me, he once had a chance from 2 yards open net and missed it, and I think Brewster would probably score that, if I'm honest.
Sure.
There was another guy as well, Dutch guy that we had, that
Lawrence Turnover.
Yeah, Neil Warnock described him as the best finisher at the club, and he couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo. And I think
when they change your name to Lawrence 10 Awful instead of Oval, you know that you're doing something wrong here.
He was another one, but we've had quite a few. Craig Beattie obviously comes into that, and I think his son who's one of our academy strikers at the minute, I think he's even better than him, and he's only 17. Yeah. But yeah, I think for me, them 2 from, and probably 3 with Rhian Brewster. I think where do you start? Rhian Brewster, Michael Higden, Connor Salmon for me was my number 1.
Okay. All right. I feel really bad putting current players in the worst ever 11, but I think we may have to do it on this occasion. Right.
We have to watch him every week. You feel bad putting him in that worst 11. I've had 5 years of season tickets watching him. How do you think I feel? We've blown a 5-year budget on him.
Right.
Mark, come and watch him next week. Come and watch him next week.
Yeah.
Mark.
Tell you what, come and sit with me, and then you'll see how bad you feel picking him in.
All right. Deal. Right. Safe trips to Wales if any of you are travelling down there Tuesday night for that one. That's a long trip. Enjoy the game this weekend as well. We'll see you in 7 days' time. Next week, we are filling up the back line, so get thinking about centre-backs, left-backs, right-backs, and who the worst you've seen those 4 positions are as we nearly complete our team. And also, we're looking for the worst manager in a couple of weeks as well, so get thinking on that. Thank you very much for watching, and we really appreciate all your support. Drop us a subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elliot. Dan,
Thank you. See you later.
Have a good one.